That's exactly right, Brian. That's precisely what it means. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Very, very good to see you, albeit remotely. Very exciting stuff. Julia is here with me. She's playing Fortnite. Say hello. Julia can't say hello. She's busy shooting people. But yes, that's that's all it means. A discussion is just an exchange of words. I'm trying to. Christina says hello. Now Julia says hello. And there's a break in the game. I'm trying to do something that I've been meaning to do for a while. I've bought a few sets on the DAS store, and I've been meaning to check them out just to see what they look like and how I can use them for an animation. The one in question is called Urban Future 7, I believe, new Stonemason set. I've only just installed it 2 minutes ago. I've been a bit busy editing over the last couple of days and my day job, of course. But yes, I've been putting together 5 episodes of the Streaming 101 series so far, which is good. I've recorded another 3 today, but they need to be edited, and there's a bit of, I want to make the audio sound really nice, so I'm putting it through Premiere, so it's kind of Camtasia to Premiere workflow going, so it's a bit involved, but it looks and sounds very nice, and I hope it's going to get Steve and Rod up and running, and anyone else who wants to embark on the streaming adventures. What's happening in regards to the release tomorrow? I'm so sorry, I'm not up to speed on that yet. What will be released tomorrow? Christina, tell us all about it. In the meantime, I'm going to show you the set I'm going to have a look at. This is it, Urban Future 7. I bought that together with a couple of other sets. I believe the other one was the Streets of Venice. Look at that. Ooh, I love that. Very nice. The scene comes in Blender. All right, very exciting. Oh, that is very cool. Blender 2.82, is it? My goodness, that's going to be exciting. We're going to try it out tomorrow. That would be so good. On release day. Yeah, let's try Blender releases on release day. I like that. So this is all rendered in Iray, but what I'd like to figure out is what this would look like just to have a render speed comparison in this sort of set. What does that mean for animations? I'd like to try this with the regular skylight that comes with DAZ Studio with Iray, so not use an HDRI because I don't know how to use it in Octane. So I like in Iray for there to just be a longitude and latitude and a time of day, and see how long it takes to render this scene. And then go into Octane and put the same longitude and latitude in the same time of day, and then see what Octane comes up with and what that looks like, how long that takes, what it looks like, and so forth. And then see if we can turn this into see if we can turn this into a nice little animation. That's the plan. So these are becoming scarce on the DAS store, that we get to see an untextured view of the set. I always think that's really important because from promo images, I often don't really get a sense of how big the set actually is. So that's important for me to know if I want to put my camera through it. Is this it? This looks like a fairly small yard, but I don't know that yet until I've actually looked at the set. I do like the kind of painterly arty effect here. So we'll see what this looks like. Let's begin. The scene, by the way, comes as a regular DAZ scene, but it also comes as an OBJ. I like to look at that as well, because it would be nice to see how this scene would render in Blender and how we can maybe put some materials on there. That's just something I'm thinking out loud. There we go. Octane is still up and running here, rough and ready. Let's not work with Octane just now. Let's go and do this in Iray to begin with. Oh yeah, there's also this little guy. So we can follow my cursor a little bit better. There we go. I don't really know where to find it. I think it's under environments. That could be Urban Future 7. There we go. That's it. Let's go and we've got cameras, we've got environments, in 3D Light. That's nice, look at that. It comes up in 3D Light and in Iray. Good stuff. And we have a bunch of render settings as well that are tied to the cameras. Okay, Urban Future Iray, here we go. They are so good, aren't they, Brian? I really like them. I really enjoy all of them. It's a he, actually. I forgot his name. I think it's Stefan. I think he's from Germany, I believe. Yes, he's good at that. It's just that I guess the thinking that, hey, DAS isn't the end all. You know, people are going to use this in other applications, and I really like that he puts that in. The detail on all the little objects is just quite amazing. Wow, converting materials, 2 of 642. Good thing we've got some coffee going. Oh, that was it. Oh, not so bad, not so bad after all. I'm gonna go and change the aspect guide, switch that off, and just see what it looks like. Have any of you tested this set yet, the Urban Future 7? See if I can wander through it here with my mouse and keyboard navigation. Because I'm always on the lookout for how can we put a camera, how can we animate a camera through this. Well, that's the end of the set over here. Do you know, I've read an interview once and he did say, what was it again? It wasn't Blender, sadly. Okay, that's also where this set ends. Oh, look at the fog planes. Ah, that's how he does fog. Interesting. Uh-huh. It'd be nice if there's something at the end of this tunnel so that we can go and fly the camera through this. The suspense. No, there's not. So it's a fairly small set. It's smaller than the others. Not that we can't use it in combination with them. I think this may be a good start for a camera to go through that. I might just create a camera and leave it in place here. Create a new camera from the perspective view, accept. Perfection. I'll stay in the perspective view just so that I can go and fly through here. Also, if we make this a bit wider, that'll look more dramatic in the final effect there. Put a couple of lights in here, perhaps. I don't know if there are any lights available with this product. It doesn't look like it. Some of the surfaces are probably will light up. Oh, but it's a fairly small set, I think. Nice. Could be Max, I forgot. But if you type in Stonemason interview into Google, you find something that's a few years old. I think it's maybe 2012 or 2013. I wonder what he does for a living. It's probably not selling DAS sets, I can imagine. Let me pick maybe this as a corner here. I'll create a new camera out of this. I'll call this one test camera and apply the viewport settings. Then I'll go and switch into the camera, which is, sorry, named the wrong thing there. So I'll call this one test camera. just so that I know this is my stills camera that I'd like to just see what this is gonna look like. I'll go and save the scene as well, maybe on the desktop. Create myself a little folder here called Urban 7. But I mean, I can see from his talent that he's probably doing this in his spare time or when he got started. So I bet he's an environmental artist for some company, don't know. I'd love to know though. Maybe he's an accountant. It's kind of, yeah, it's difficult to yeah, difficult to say. Some people are really private and they say, hey, I'm known by my moniker to this fringe of people on the internet, but other than that, I'm going to keep myself to myself, and I totally appreciate that. I'll just call this one Urban V1 so I remember what this one is. So Steve, I've just, before I got on the stream here, I just posted 2 more episodes of Streaming 101 on Patreon. Have a look at that. It'll be good for you. Test camera, and shall we just switch this over to Iray and see what it looks like with default settings and all? Come on. Oh, I see. Interesting. Oh, he's from New Zealand. That's interesting. That is interesting. Howie Fox is also from New Zealand. Maybe they know each other. Maybe it's the same person. I'll go and render my whole viewport here. Yeah, so we have nothing in the sky, and I bet we're just using the default what's it called here? The default HDRI. I might not actually use that. I might just go in and tell the environment to use the sun and sky only. And I think I'm also gonna, I'm also gonna draw the dome so that we have a bit of sky here. And 6 o'clock's maybe a little bit too late in the day. Maybe we'll make it 3. Maybe make it 12, I don't know. Maybe make it 8 o'clock in the morning. No, that's too early, isn't it? Let's make it 2. I like to see some of the sunlight coming in here. Maybe 3 is the way to go. And maybe that's already too late. Well, 1 o'clock. I suppose there's a lot of shadows going on there. Stefan Morel, that was his name. That's probably why I thought it was German. And maybe he still is German, living in New Zealand. Possibilities. Parameters tab. There we go. I'll go and select my camera, just rotate the camera around so that I can just look around, see what, actually I can use that with my thing here, can't I? Yeah, there we go, perfect. Just looking into a few different directions and see what it looks like. I might just crank up the intensity of the environment light. I might do that. Two might be a bit too much. No, we get a bit more shadow definition here. Maybe 3. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to blow out the lights on the side here. Oh, I'll have a look. Thank you for the link, Christina. Very nice. Stefan Morel, thank you so much for your awesome work. In case you're watching, highly unlikely. Why would he watch a bloody amateur like me? Crazy. You never know. You never know. So if I just leave this scene alone, just so that we get an impression on the render speeds between Iray and Octane, I'm also going to crank down the samples to fairly low, just so that we have a proper comparison here. So first of all, I'll go and change this into regular, maybe 1280 by 720. That should be enough. Aspect frame is this. That'll be our framing. Perfect. So then, in our max samples, I'll go turn render quality off here, and max samples, I'll go set that to 500. And let me not use the denoiser, just so that we get a bit of a, just so that we get a raw result here, and let's have it render 500 samples. Just checking we're using the GPU. Okay, I've still got the optics prime acceleration in here. That's going to go away in the, what are you doing? That's apparently going to go away as, new window, as I believe NVIDIA have removed it from the options. So if you're still looking for optics prime in the beta versions, it's not because DAS have removed it, it's because NVIDIA have removed that API call to the Iray engine. So that's why it's no longer exposed in DAS Studio. While this is rendering, let me go have a look at Stefan's website here. I think for an animation, by the way, I think 500 iterations is probably, I would be looking into doing that faster, because otherwise it would just take forever to render. If it's like a, I don't know, a 3000 frame animation, I'd be looking to do this in about 200, 250 iterations, ideally. So Stefan Morel is called Victor Smith. I'm confused. Nice. He's got a Facebook page too. 3,600 likes, that's good. Yep, there we go. It's done and dusted. How long did it take? Let's check it out. Under Help, Troubleshooting, View Log File. 1 minute and 41 seconds. That's not bad. 1 minute 24 seconds. Let's, Rod Shelley, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. So 140, 141, 142. Let's make a mental note of that and head over to Octane now. I'll go switch the Iray viewport off, just so that we utilize the resources to their fullest. And I'll go and open the Octane view, but no, I'm going to go have a look at the render settings here. And this also says max samples with direct lighting, even though path tracing and PMC is better. I'm just going to stick with direct lighting here. Also 500 samples. Sounds like a good idea. I think the only thing I may need to tweak here is the environment light. I have a feeling, because we want to just compare these results. I think we should use the same settings. Actually, this already looks more pleasing than what the DAS settings are set to. That's interesting. I like the shadow definition already much better, I must admit. Could also actually save the render. What do you think? That's probably also a good idea. Let's go save that. Urban 7, make another little folder in here, call that renders. And in renders, let's go call it Iray 500. And then we can compare these two guys together. Yeah, look at that, without tweaking anything. This looks actually very cool. Over 40%, Artist of the Year, Mr. Rod Shelley. Very good, very good. Now remind me, how do I render the full picture out of this? Where do I set the aspect ratio and all those things? Aspect ratio, look at that, that's probably here. So let's go. A friend of mine just sent me a screenshot of his new iPhone XR, I believe it was. And it comes up with this thin, mega long strip. So I don't know what they're doing to the iPhones, but it's crazy. 16:9 is what we're looking for. And width, we want to be 1280 by 720. There we go, that's perfect. And that is that. So now I think we switch on live, and then we just go and say, no, we don't actually, live doesn't actually matter. It's final, isn't it? That's what matters. Start final rendering, yes. Mesh couldn't be combined because the scene contains instances. What a shame. I don't know where we can see the actual render time of the, oh, at the top there, at the top. So just for the record there, I'm gonna, oh, okay, render throttle. Yes, I've heard of that. Thank you so much. So I haven't set the environment parameters exactly like they are in Iray, so we'll do that in a moment. But just from first glance, it looks like with or without instances, we're looking at 22 seconds versus 1 minute and 40 seconds in Iray. So same picture resolution. Don't know if I've set the denoiser or anything, but just with that, I don't think I have set the denoiser because this is still, as I can see some noise going here. The Octane appears to be 3 times faster than Iray. Over 3 times faster, nearly 4 times faster. 5 times faster. That's exciting. Render throttle. Okay, so let's see if we can turn the environment into exactly the same environment that we have in DAS. I believe I have to switch, whoops, I have to switch final off again. End final rendering. I might as well actually close this, go to environment, and just remind myself of the parameters here. Sun and sky. So 40.76 versus minus 111. So maybe we'll just go make it 40, right? Versus minus 111. Does that work? Yes, that works. And then the date is the 10th of March 2015. Don't know what's so exciting about that date, but it's probably somebody's birthday. The 10th of March. Do we not have the year? No, we don't have a year. Huh. Unless I'm overlooking it somewhere. I don't think there's a year here. Well, also then the other thing I'd like to check out, oh, there's these things here. New daylight, you said, Steve, Nishita daylight model is the best. I think I'll just leave it on the new one. I don't know what the difference between them is, I must say. There's also, I'm looking for the intensity slider of this. I don't, maybe we don't need it. That's also fine. I'm just thinking that on Iray, I had to crank it up to make the shadows kind of brighten in there. But I guess on this occasion, I didn't have to do that. There we go. Now it's much darker, but it's also because we don't have the lights anymore. I suppose that's a downside. I would have to redo all the lights to make that look as appealing as the Iray version, I guess. That is one downside. And then I suppose when we add more light sources to it, then I guess we'll increase render time at least a little bit. But yeah, that is kind of, that's tough work. Is there a quick way to do it? Ah, that's interesting, Steve. Thanks for letting me know. Let's go and try Mr. and Mrs. Nishita out. Thank you for the tip. Chris Cox, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. We're doing a little experiment and we're pitching Iray against Octane with the same scene, same camera. It's not an entirely correct way of comparing the two because the materials are different, light sources are different. This is my latest render here. I hope you enjoy it. It is black. I call it blackness. Sadly, that's what happens with the Nishita model. I'm not sure why we don't get any light anymore. But also now that I've tweaked the date, it looks like it's kind of similarly dark to what I'm getting in Iray, just neglecting the lights here. I mean, the shadow definition and all that. So let's see if I can find out where the intensity slider for the environment light is. Perhaps there's something, power, could that just be the power? Let's do that. Let's crank that up by a bit, maybe 3. Look at that, 3 is kind of where we're getting a similar result here. And Joe, how you doing? Joe says hi. Julia's busy playing Fortnite. She can't come to the phone right now. Julia says hi as well. Power. Let's crank up the power. There we go. This is what power does. That's nice. That's nice. How are you doing, Chris? I've been catching a couple of your VODs, I believe the kids call it. Very good stuff. Love your work. Very exciting. And I was wondering, and it's a valid question. This is not. I don't mean for this to sound mocking or anything. How come you're using the Blender 2.79? Very interesting. Because I still have it on my computer, and I was thinking, yeah, there's some things I know how to get done with it that are either not in 2.8 or they're not. I don't know how to do them in 2.8, so I still have that around, and I was kind of glad to see that you're still working with the old version as well. So 5-time improvement. That's without doing any lights just yet. So that's very interesting. So that for animations, that is already really, really cool. So I suppose that if we were to set up a little camera that goes through it, this would be a great way of just, testing the waters and then maybe adding a few lights there. whereas this is Iray. And Iray is going to look great because it has all the amazing lights set up, of course. So, it's a tricky one. Oh, okay. Or maybe I've watched an old stream. That's possible. I just randomly clicked on a few and I thought, oh, that's interesting. You know, still with the same longitude and latitude, it looks so very different, doesn't it? I mean, the effect the sun has on the scene here, the strong shadows, I just don't see them in Octane at all. And I wonder why that is. The reflections I can explain, but the light should genuinely respond the same way, I would imagine. Could it be that the dome is rotated in the wrong way? Have a mixed longitude and latitude? Ralph, very good to see you. You're back with Christina. I like it. I like it. Look after her. Ralph, the midnight nurse. I like it. This is good. What's your preference if I... Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to close this. What is your preference, my friends, if you could choose this visual versus... I didn't mean to close this. This visual versus that. I mean, this one looks flatter, but it's just so much faster to render. Whereas this one looks more exciting. It just takes so much longer to render. This one versus that. I mean, it's really difficult to compare, isn't it? Because we're trying to compare apples with pears. This is great, Ralph. Join the movement. Start with Blender tomorrow. Christina just said that tomorrow, launch of Blender 2.82, another milestone. This is going to be exciting. I'm going to test it right away, tomorrow. Tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going to have a look at Blender 2.82 and just have a nosy. Be also nice to load up that OBJ of the same scene and render that in Blender. That's another cool idea. Should we do that? That'd be really cool. Let's do that. Do you know, that's what I can't work out, Chris, either. This is bizarre because, let me just close this viewport. I'm going to switch this back to the textured view because I was trying to set the light so that the sun direction here in the environment tab in Octane kind of matches what we've got going in Iray here. But all I get is kind of a mushy flat light. I don't seem to get any like a strong point. But at the same time, I've also noticed that we can't set a year in Octane, or I haven't found it. It could well be that it's in here and I don't find it. So in Iray, I can see that the kind of the default date that was set here is indeed 10th of March 2015, whereas in Octane I can set the month and the day, but not the year, and that definitely has an impact on the light quality. Interesting. Now, to put the set through its ringers there, I know that I've installed the OBJ version. I just don't exactly know where it is. So I would imagine along the lines of this. I wonder if there's a browse to file location. See if we can figure out where that is. I can also look at Install Manager, see where he put that. Yes, it looks like it's not in here. I can export this, of course, from the from DAZ Studio into Blender, but if there is an OBJ, I might as well load that. Yeah, it looks like I can't really find it. The power, Christina, yes, just before I leave this, the power, I've increased the power a little bit. The power, I've set that to 10 now. So the default, I believe, is this the default button? No. Oh, that's the animation button. For keyframes. I forgot what I think it was 1. 1 was the default. And 1 in Iray also didn't look great, so I've just upped that a little bit to soften the shadows a bit. Install Manager. Freshly updated this morning. Came up with a bunch of hexagon presets. I was very excited about that. DAZ are investing in hexagon. Woo! This is just too cool, man. Way to beat a dead horse. Urban Future 7 OBJ, there it is. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted show installed files. It's in geometries, right? In general, Stonemason Urban Future 7 geometries. But they're literally every single object as an OBJ. I was kind of hoping that there is a whole scene. Let's see if it's saved under something like urban. I guess not. I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure there's a way. Would it tell us in this? No. One core, one OBJ. Maybe by OBJ he actually means every single object individually. Well, that's a shame. That's a good idea, Brian. Let's try that. And just go and look at the largest size. Paving. Or just load all of them. Literally just load every single one of them. I suppose the advantage of this is that they are not connected. I remember buying a set once that also came as an OBJ, and I thought, hey, that's actually no, it came as a DAZ thing, and the developer had made it so that this whole thing was one object. So if you wanted to move a couch or open a door, not happening. That was disappointing. Absolutely. Well, okay, I say let's go and see if we can animate a camera pan through the set then. And I guess I'm going to use the camera that I started with in the beginning, which is this one here. Let's go and go there so that we start in the tunnel and we kind of come out. It's not a very large set, but it could still be interesting to just have the camera pan through there and see if we can make that happen. Timeline up. And I'm thinking maybe we'll make it a kind of a 20-second animation. So that times 30 frames is 600 frames. Sounds about right, right? Let's go and say 601. And how do I make that smaller? Wasn't there a zoom button once that would with this here maybe somewhere? How do you zoom out of the new timeline? Oh, range, there we go. Haha. Range, good point. Could have sworn there were buttons, but hey, I might be making it up. So with our camera selected, this has got to be our first keyframe here. I can see it's already in there. Let's just go and tap it a few times just for good measure. I'm going to go and see if the focal length wants to be reduced to something like 38. We can always do something about this beginning frame, but I'm thinking maybe like a dark, creepy tunnel sounds like a good idea. I'll just go and set the first and the last keyframe. And then we can set the ones in the middle, just so that we get an idea of where we want to do that. I think maybe here I'd like for the pan to get a bit slower. Maybe have the camera look around a little bit as it goes up here, do that, and as it moves further, go over here, and then perhaps just end over here. So ideally I'd like to have an object in there that says something along the lines of what it is that we want to do with the scene. So I was thinking, because Steve wants to get on streaming, I'm thinking we're going to make something for Steve, if this is going to look good. And I'm just thinking, if we go and move right into here, there could be something like an object here on the counter that's fairly small that says backdoor 3D. That's something that you can't really see from afar, but as you get closer, you can zoom in there. So I'm thinking we're going to put that here. What do you think? That's a kind of a cool idea, right? I'm thinking if it fits into 600 frames, we can play with that just to see if it's, you know, back alley 3D. That's it, exactly. So we'll zoom into here and we'll go and set a keyframe on the camera. So if I now move this, then this happens. Okay, perfect. I like it. This is now a straight, moving straight through from here to there, and it's not very palatable. So let's go and fix the obvious issue here. At frame 200, I like it. With the camera still selected, I'll make sure we stay in the tunnel here. And maybe I want to move a little bit faster towards Cigarette Girl. And then once we've encountered her, perhaps then add something like, yeah, let's just say something along the lines of, we're slowing down a bit, so at frame 300, I like to go and look at this. I'll even that XY rotation out there in a moment. And then we're here, perfect. So I'll go to basically to the worst point, which is here. Yeah, let's say frame 450. And reveal a bit of this. So some of those parameters, I don't think they're accessible from the general tab, are they? So what's happening, just so that I can satisfy my curiosity, is the what is that? The Y axis? Is that what's happening there? Y rotation. So let's go and go to that keyframe here and just figure out what it is. Only filtering down the rotation. So that's Y, so we don't want to touch that. X is that. It's got to be Z then. No, it's not. Oh, it's probably because the values are in worldview rather than world coordinates rather than local coordinates. Let's do that. Let's do local coordinates rather. And then we see that this is kind of the ugly Z rotate here. So 0 sounds like a good idea. Let's keep it at 0. And if it moves a little bit, I'm happy with it. But this is, of course, you know, a tiny bit too much here. But I can see what's happening. So it's almost like we're rotating 180 degrees around this. So that's not good. And we're also rotating by that much around X. So that's also not good. Let's see if we can even that out. So that the DAS has a problem with the fact that if something goes over kind of the 0 point, so that's not good, but also that's also not good. And that's purely a DAS thing, really. There, perfect. So now, if I go start from here, is actually the Y rotation that should have done its thing. Woo! I killed Elvis! Thank you so much for your subscription. That is so exciting! Wow! You are the man. You are all the men. This is, and the women. This is so exciting. Wow. You're the best. Thank you so much. I will send a Discord invite your way. I killed Elvis. This means a lot to me. This is so cool. So that solved that problem. I can also go and go back to this and then just have a look at what I wanted to look at, which is the service repair thing. I see it's done it again. So the moment I don't use the value sliders, that's when these issues appear to happen. So let me go and undo that and just do the rest with the value slider. So just pan it up a little bit and look to the left, and then we inch it forward a bit. Oh. It's a big old oh, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that. It's this old thing, if you don't select the correct object before you fiddle with sliders, that's usually the death of every one of us. Brian can sing that song with me, literally as a duet. The Z rotation we can probably leave at 0, just not to freak out the camera too much. So to about here, I like the sound of that. Then we already have our next frame set up, which is here. And I think all I like to do before we end up here is, before we even come to that, we can probably, yeah, let's make that happen. So Z rotation 0. And reveal that alley here. I like for the camera at that point already to be a little bit further, kind of this direction, if that makes sense. So let's see if we can make that happen at about frame 400 maybe. That's more of a translation thing. Yeah, like that. And then on the rotational front, looking down at the shop, which is where we're going to end up, and revealing that. So I'm hoping that's going to be, the pan is probably a little bit too fast there. Also, I think when let's get rid of this keyframe here. I think that'll help us if we just go get rid of that. If only I remembered how to do that. Is super tedious. Absolutely, I killed Elvis. Animations in Blender are just so much nicer. Absolutely. How do you just do not? There we go. That's it, isn't it? And you just go delete. Deletes the whole animation. That deletes the whole camera. Oh my goodness, Not what we want to do. A double click, does that work? I'd love to just zoom into here. That's not really, it's not easy, is it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a zoom slider at one point? Or, I hate to say it, a different software. It's just, DAS is really nice for certain things, but there's also things that are really not nice. And the fact that a third-party developer had to write a timeline plugin to make this usable for animations, that says a lot in my book. Well, there we go. That's selected. So let me see if I can delete selected keys. Is that gonna, should I maybe just, you know, save it before we do anything drastic? Urban V2. Oh, that's the shortcut, is it, Brian? Which one is it going to use? The one that's selected? Let's find out. No, maybe it's the one that I need to be on. If I go to that and then I go minus. No, what a shame. Right click and go delete item keys filter, delete selected keys, that. No, what a shame. How annoying. You press the obvious button, the camera disappears. That makes sense. You right click, you have 7 delete options. Neither of them work. You click the button that quite clearly says remove the keyframe. That doesn't work. Delete DAS, I think we should do that. Yeah, that really doesn't work, does it? There's got to be an explanation. Okay, so partly it was my fault because I was looking at the whole set here, and that keyframe is currently set on the building. So I want to. This is really the keyframe that I need, right? This here, on the camera. Ah, there we go. Delete, select keys. That did it. That did the trick. Let's look through our camera again, see what happens next. So I Killed Elvis, tomorrow we're going to have a look at Blender 2.82. That's going to be exciting. So there we go, just what the doctor ordered. That's exactly what I wanted. So we're creeping through this tunnel here. We're looking at a woman with the cigarette. We're having a look at that, maybe a little bit faster. So I'll change the position there a bit. Then we go and reveal this, and we kind of casually end up on the counter where we see backdoor 3D. I'm thinking we can even zoom in further so that we see something like that on here. Maybe as simple as putting backdoor 3D on one of these textures as a menu item or something. You know, that'd be kind of cool. Let me know what you think about that. Oh, right, yes, I can see why. I'm thinking about doing some reruns in the morning. It just depends if I remember it. There's nothing I can schedule on Twitch. I have to go in manually and kick off a rerun, like whatever happened the night before can then be shown in the morning. So that's also an idea. And the other thing I'm thinking is time permitting, to do premieres on YouTube of some of the streams, put them on as a premiere so that we get to interact with the YouTube crowd. And I'm thinking, you know, that might be a nice idea to just, you know, keep the contact going. I can already see that maybe the animation needs to be a bit longer. So 600 frames was perhaps not long enough. So maybe make that twice as long. Yeah, let's make it 1,000 frames, 1,001 frames. And look at all of it. Because then we can afford us to move this keyframe. I think they let us do that, don't they? Even in DAS, come on. with the new super amazing mega timeline, they allow us to grab a keyframe and move it further along. I think we can do that. Well, let's leave this one here and let's go and set the last keyframe up again and see if we can. I don't know how detailed these textures are. Let's just go have a quick look at this last frame here. It's like the bedtime stream, Christina, isn't it? Me too. Oh, I can't wait for an urban sprawl set. That'd be really cool. So they're not super detailed, but it'll be fairly easy. I'm thinking of just recreating this this texture. They're a little bit fuzzy, but all it needs to read is really a few, just just like a Chinese recipe menu thing. So that should work. That should work. So let's see how this approach will work. I'd like to show more of the set. So ideally, I'm going to move this keyframe over to maybe frame 800 so that the set's kind of being revealed much slower. Let's see how we can make that happen. I think I'm just going to take them and then can I just slide them over? Oh my God, it's like a real animation program. That's exciting, isn't it? Let's try this at frame 800 and just see what this looks like. So we do this, then that happens. And then we need to take this keyframe and move it slightly further as well. And then we end up here. Yeah, okay, so we need to adjust that and just make the camera go angle slightly onto our target there already. We can do that, we can do that. So this I'm happy with. I might put a couple of keyframes in here so that the camera kind of looks left and right rather than in a straight line. But that's details. That's nice. These two keyframes here, I'll move these over. So this one goes to about here. So the first one that used to be on 300 is now on 400, and the one that used to be on 400, let's move that somewhere. Just in the middle here, 650 perhaps. So we do this, we look at that, we go, ooh, that's interesting. And then we do a slow pan and have a look at the scene, and there's some kind of Chinese food going, and then we're ending up, boom, at the menu. Perfect. So now let's go and adjust just this keyframe here. And that just needs to point more to where we want to end up, which is probably this. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I'll leave the menu alone and just turn the whole placemat into the backdoor 3D. Because could even be a tablet, doesn't have to be a placemat, could maybe be a tablet on which we see Steve's ArtStation thing, like backdoor 3D, something along those lines. Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. Excellent. I'm thinking that. Let's go and adjust the last keyframe to be there then. Yeah, this is the placemat we wanna change. There. Just go and timeline's in the way of the viewport. There we go. And then all we need to do is we may need another keyframe then, because even if I go and angle this down already, which one's that? That's going to be, is that the X rotation? Yeah, X rotation. That's good. Yeah, we may need another keyframe to adjust this at about frame 900, just roughly. Yeah, so what we're getting is these artifacts that it doesn't move linear in a linear fashion. It has these wobbles, and they're generated by the curve. So I think I'm just going to play with the interpolation of these things. You see these wobbling up and down, in and out. That's not really, I'm not doing that, but it's probably just interpolation related. I might actually, that's the other option. I'm gonna go delete this keyframe here and just move this to the end. Oh no, I'm ending up in the same boat then as I was before. Okay, bring it back and just try from here to there to there. Just make these things, at least these two, change them into linear keyframes. Dude, why can't I select them? That's rubbish. This timeline is terrible. So these, and I think it's at the bottom is a TCB, interpolation type. That's it, exactly, this is it. And I'm going to try and make that linear. Yeah, Joe, I think I'll try that. I think let's have a look if this works. I think slower is definitely gonna help with that. So now we have less wobble there. Might even consider doing that with other keyframes. Let's see what it looks like in real time. Let's see if we can actually play this back in real time. We can, look at that. So I'm thinking angle the camera there, move it over here, that's nice. Then I might put it lower at that point so that we kind of look up and then we go up further like that. I think here we need to point it down a little so that we see less of the sky. And that was a bit of an abrupt change there, so that may be the interpolation time point. Yeah, so this is too abrupt, so I think I need to change that keyframe back. This I can live with because it's nice and slow. I just need to find a way to even out that movement and find better keyframes there. Maybe I need to do that. So I like this pan, that's nice. I think the beginning we can probably speed up a little bit. Yeah, there's another interpolation type I can try. And that is constant. Constant might work better than linear. Oh no, constant is terrible. That's actually just changing from one to another. No, I'm sorry. That's not what the doctor has ordered at all. So then really we only have TCB then. TCB or linear. Constant that's not what I'm looking for. That's literally a switch from on to off. There's no interpolation at all. So maybe I'm going to go back to TCB, which is, or Bezier curve as other people know it. Could use GraphMate. that's a possibility. Maybe I can at least have a look where this wobble comes from. That's actually a good idea, Steve. Thank you. Let's have a look at GraphMate, see if we can work this out. The other option that I could consider is to literally go and remove these two keyframes completely, like this one and that one. Then we go and then the wobble will be gone, and then we just replace these with one keyframe. Let me try that. Let me go and save what we have, just in case something nasty happens. Yeah, if I just remove those keyframes completely, and then we're replacing it with just a single one on the point where it's literally the worst. I think even here, I think we can probably be higher. Let me leave it like this, and then at the point where it's worse, so this is where we want to be already looking at the placemat here. I'll just go and do this with rotation, with the correct rotation. Oops, not that one. And the rest, to get it zoomed into focus, let's do that just with the zoom. So then the camera movement is nice and easy, like that. And then we can go, we don't have to be that close actually with the camera. We can probably go and stay away a bit. So then the effect is then that there's not too many keyframes that interpolate, and we do this nice and easy. And then in order to get close in there, we just go and employ the zoom. Does space actually? Oh, space does that. That's good. That's very good. Yeah, we're still not quite far enough there. That's it. That's it. That's it, because zooming in is easy. So now on the camera again, let's go and look at the camera's focal distance. We need to keyframe it from here, I'm thinking, so that we make sure the camera's focal length is 38 here. And then at the end, yeah, exactly. Make it like that. That helps. That's really nice. Oh yeah, do you know, Steve? So the series is called, and that's deliberately so, Streaming 101, because I haven't filmed the introduction for it yet. But the idea of the whole series is that it's not just going to cover OBS, it's also going to cover things like Twitch and chatbots and overlays and things like the subscriber alerts and all that, because that's kind of the pitfall that we often just forget. And so that's all going to be part of the series as well. That's the plan, at least. Exactly. That's I have you two in mind, and because I mean things like they sound so simple to people who've been using Twitch for a while, that what YouTube calls subscribers are actually followers on Twitch. And it's an important distinction because subscribers on Twitch are paying customers. And YouTube have a similar feature, and it's called joining a channel. But if you don't know that, you don't know that. And it's important to distinguish between these things. What do we think of that? See, and it doesn't exist, right? That's exactly why I wanted to make it, because it's not as easy. I remember when I first looked into this, I was thinking, well, that's all fair and square, and I can put a signal onto a platform. I understand that, but how do people do all these overlays? Where do they read the data from? How do I need to do anything? And yeah, so it's good, right? The only thing I want to change now, and I'm going to go and save this as Urban V3. Boom. I'm going to make this scene available on Patreon as well as a scene file. If you have the same assets like the Urban Future 7, then you can go and play along with it. That's a nice idea. With the DUF file, I'm not distributing geometry, so that should be fine. Scene files are fine to share, but if you don't have the set installed, then it won't be it won't load it, I believe. So just here, I wanted to just turn the camera slightly to the right, just so that we look more at the woman here, just as a test. Is that Z rotate? No, it's not. Stay away from Z rotate. It's also not that. It's Y rotate, the last one. Like this. Let's see, there may be too much negative space, and maybe it's just a bit more subtle that we get her into the, yeah, because we want to focus on her. Let's see if it actually works. It works nicely. I found earlier that maybe I'm looking too much at the sky here, so I want to change this keyframe too. Maybe also make that with the Z rotation. I mean, it does look nice, but there's this, I've got a feeling if we just do that, it might benefit the animation. So we're looking at her, then we look at this, and then we come over here. Actually, there's one other thing that might work even better on this keyframe here, on keyframe 400. I think we might be better off if at this point the camera would be slightly further forward already. Yes, that's a very good point there. We should take it in turns. We should kind of coordinate our efforts, like especially on the 4 days or the 3 days that I can't ever stream, like the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I usually can't stream. So it'd be great to be able to catch one of you guys on that day. That'd be really nice. Let's see if I just put on this frame. I just want to try this out. If I go and move the camera, if we're at that point, if we're moving forward already, is that X translate? X is doing the most work here. And X translate goes this way, yeah. So I'll go and move the camera to here already. Because then the rotation to get that other sign in, that might be kind of cool. Let's see what this looks like. We go look at the woman, and then we move forward while looking left. Then we can pan this area in as well, which I think is a great idea. Then we go over here. And then we look at that. So what I like about this is that when it comes to the last pan there. It's almost like we're, yeah, this is nice to get, yeah, to get that bit more panning. Yes, that's the spirit. So what I like about this is that we quite obviously pan from here into the next alley on the right, and that's quite clearly where we're going, the yellow face. But we're not. We're kind of casually ending up on the counter where we see the actual thing we're going to reveal, which is backdoor 3D. I like it. Maybe you should have a Google Calendar. Let's see if we can set one up, a collaborative Google Calendar, and we pick dates. How's that? That's a great idea, because that should adjust the times for each and every one of us. That'd be cool. I'm looking forward to that. And if one of us makes Twitch partner, we're going to have to create a team. This is nice. I like this. This is what we would have least expected this to be, that we're then ending up there. I like this. I like this. Quick, save it. Boom. And so we can do one of two things. We can either tweak the texture, or, and I'm just thinking that might be even cooler, Steve, and literally everyone else. Why don't we create backdoor 3D in 3D as a 3D object, and then have that protruding out of the ground a little bit. So rather than turning it into a texture, we just use a 3D object typed out, and it kind of pokes through the geometry here, that we have have something that you know comes out, and then we just whack an Iray metal material on it, because that'll be nice and shiny. That'll be awesome. I think we should use that rather than the flat texture, because that would just draw even more attention then. Let's do that. You're off to bed. I killed Elvis. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for your subscription. This is super, super awesome. Give me a couple of days and then I'll send you a Discord invite, and you know, enjoy the show. I'm really glad to have you on board, my friend. Let's go and love the emote, love the emote. Let's do this in Blender 2.81a for the last time, non-Octane edition. Woohoo! This is exciting. You get to pick the font, Steve. Delete our friend the default cube and just go and put a text object in it that we go against on da font. Okay, da font, man. Maybe I have it. There's another consideration, and I'll tell you once I've typed it out. So backdoor, do you want a capital D like this? Or is backdoor going to be the same word like this? Backdoor 3D. I'm just browsing ideas, because the thing is, if we could do it this way, so backdoor 3D, or even put the 3D on the like next to it or something, or we could do backdoor 3D and put the 3D like, you know, centered in the middle, something like that, so that it matches the thing underneath it. Maybe you can 3D print that, Brian. All right, I'm gonna go grab that. Against, not against, it's against. I like it. And then of course this is not the download button, it is this one here. Ah, I like that I have 50,000 windows open. That's exciting, isn't it? Those are all the audio mixes for the Streaming 101 series, by the way. It's kind of a convoluted workflow. I use the Camtasia for editing so that I can zoom in and out and put these little kind of cursor highlights after the fact in. That's nice. But then Premiere has the better audio processing effect. So I'm using that. And up until literally today, I've used this so that I edit this in Camtasia, that I export the voice into Premiere, let Premiere do the processing, and take the audio file out and put it back into Camtasia, and then let Camtasia render out the video. But what I've noticed is that Premiere does a much better job at retaining the audio level. So Camtasia tries to do some awkward, uncool processing, and in so doing, it kind of lowers the levels by 6 dB, and that's not good. So I'll bring all the video, the rendered video, into Premiere now, and let Premiere handle the final output. Just, you know, that's how I roll. And this one, I will go and copy that font into Urban 7. All one word? Okay, no worries. So all one word, that might just make it a bit long, since we've got this 16 by 9 thing. We can do it. I'm just thinking it would be more pleasing to the eye to do it as backdoor and then have the 3D underneath it centered. So like if I just emulate that, something like that, you know, in the other font. We can try both versions. I don't mind at all. I'm happy to do it in one row. It would just be more pleasing to the eye to do it that way. That's all. But, you know, my thoughts. Yes, and the existing one is yeah, okay. Gotcha, Christina. And remind me, without looking at that, is the D capital or is it lowercase? I don't know. If you can let me know, that'd be great. And then I can go and do this font thing. Under font regular, I can go and open my Urban 7 fonts against font. Haha. I'm not sure if that's suitable as a 3D object. I gotta be brutally honest here. It might look nice as a written font, but I'm not sure if we're actually getting any geometry out of this here. I'm sad to say. I can try it uppercase, but yeah, I think even with all uppercase letters, I think there's just not, there's just too much detail, and most of it just gets swept under the carpet, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we'll see what we do. Let's go and oh, we're already editing this. I will try it in all caps. Yes, it's just those strokes at the bottom here. They don't make it. They don't make them like they used to, you know. We'll use one. We can still use the printed version, I guess, somewhere on the placemat, but we make something that has really clean lines and it's really easy, nice geometry to poke through, and that'll give that kind of metal effect. I think we can make something happen. The Comic Sans it is. Let's try it. Oh, that's that font. It's not necessarily Windows fonts. Doesn't look so bad. I may have misspelled backdoor there. I don't think it's kind of not bold enough. I'd like for something to be really defined. Bakery script, you think? Let's have a look at that. That might work. That might work. From $49. Woo! Woo! What's going down, Steve? I can't afford that. But it's easily replaceable later. So that's, if you have a license to that font, you know, I'm happy to make that for you. That's no problem. Or you can make it, just send me the OBJ. That's also cool. Since we can't really preview the fonts here, let me do that in Photoshop, just so that we get an impression of what different types of fonts would look like. Can you? Oh, cool. How do we do that? If we can, Christina, let's try it. I suppose what I'd have to do is, I guess, the only way I know how to do it is basically load that in and then just go. What I was looking for is something where I just go and, you know, type through it and just get an immediate preview, that sort of thing, because I'm an impatient man and all, you know. That's not bad. That's almost like the $49 one. File Explorer upper right, this one here. Thumbnails. Drum roll. Working on it. It did it for 1 second there. Come on, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that's just not what I'm looking for. So I'm glad they have it though. So oh, well, that's no, that's totally not what we wanted. Oh, also not what we wanted. My God, what am I doing? Photoshop's destroyed it now. This is kind of what I was more looking for. It gives me an impression of what the font looks like in the written out with different fonts. That's interesting. Sadly, we can't really read it. Can I make that smaller here somehow? Like that, yes. Well, almost. You, Kobe. Okay, I'll check that out in a minute, Steve. Javanese, that sounds like interesting. It's only the title. Sometimes the titles sound more interesting than what they actually look like. Klingon Commander, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. That'd be nice and black impact-like. I'm looking for something bold. I'm even thinking, Steve, you might be right with just using all uppercase letters. That might just make a better and bigger impact. I'll check out your font. We're currently trying to find a font so that we can add it as a last object into a 3D animation I'm making with DAZ Studio for Steve's channel. Where was I going with this? You got right, bakery font. There we go. Paste and go. Thank you, Kobe. I have a feeling we're probably going to have similar problems with this font than we had with the other one, but let's try it out. Just because it has these, I'm not sure how Blender's gonna be with that. Let's have a look. Thank you, Kobe. I'll move that to my fonts directory, which I cleverly had devised. Yeah, it's the same issue. I don't think we're going to get geometry with that. Yeah, we got to stay away from those things, Steve, I'm afraid. Yeah, so we can use either this, like not so much days one, but the capitalized version. There was some kind of interesting ones here. And also there's also this thing about serif versus sans serif. So I'm thinking for something like that comes as a shape out of the thing. I'm thinking we should use something sans serif. Tungsten's not bad. And then just as a suggestion, I think I would do this. I would still do it something along the lines of something like that. And then maybe even put the 3D on the side, something like that. Because I'm envisioning this as a just something that's kind of recognizable, more like a, outlines. You create one for me. You create one. We're going to put one in as a placeholder, so I can render this overnight, so that we get a bit of an impression of where we need to set lights and all that, and then we can take it from there. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Oh, sorry. What was the font again? It was Tungsten. Let's just use tungsten now so that we have something tangible in there. And that was in Windows fonts. Tungsten semi-bold. There's also Verdana. Verdana is nice. Bold. Okay, let's use Verdana. That's not quite as harsh. And I might just make that in 3 text objects. I'm still not sure about the capitals versus all capitals. I don't really know. Okay, so Photoshop had it in all caps. Steampunk Belladonna, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Let's leave it as lowercase now. And that was Verdana, was it? Yeah, perfect. Verdana. And then I'll create one more, and that'll be just 3D. Verdana. So R, I believe Z90. Oops, RZ90. And then we can put that. You mean the 3D Steampunk Belladonna? Like make it, flip it like this way, or do you mean the 3D on the left-hand side? That would be like that. I'm not sure if oh, you mean put the 3D up here, you mean? That was my thought at first. Absolutely. I thought that. Like this. It's probably not what you mean. Oh, you mean like that? Oh, right. So like that. Is that what you mean? So the 3 is oh, right, okay. So let's do that. And then do so RX 180 like that. Like that. I'm not sure. It'll be, to give you a bit of context where this is going to go, it'll go here. So it'll be like a 3D geometry that just pokes out of this thing and just goes glisteningly nicely. So it's to see the whole animation, this is what it's going to look like. We're going to go through Stonemason's Urban Future 7, through the tunnel. We're revealing the set slowly, and then we're going to go and have something that'll just describe Backdoor 3D. And originally we were going to use Steve's font that he used, but that didn't come out so well in 3D. So we're thinking we're going to change the texture of this placemat here a little bit, so that we have his logo kind of written as it normally does, something like here or something. And so now we have some kind of 3D geometry that just comes and pokes out, just kind of metal clad. That is an idea. That is an idea. So then the actual logo would deform the geometry. That's something we could try. That is certainly something we can try. Let me just bring this logo in that we've just made here. I'm not sure about the 3D on the side. I'm just going to go and rotate this. Oops, around like actually this is now. Tell you what. Let's go write it out again. So all of these things together, I'm going to go, actually no, I won't. I'm going to go and do some geometry things. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Extrude is what I meant. Turn that into 3D. Like that. And then we'll maybe bevel it a bit more. Yeah, a bit less. Yeah, like that. That's nice. That's nice. So point that and point. Okay. So do that. Like that, and do that. And then we do that. And then we go do that. "3D" in big letters and a different color totally behind Backdoor. Like a senior, possibly. Yeah, I'm not too happy with the way 3D is at the moment either. I'm thinking you may have something there, Steampunk Belladonna. I'm thinking it's now just screwing up the height a little bit, but I can work with that. That's no big big issue. It's something like that, maybe. And then we can always adjust the height of the last object. But then I don't think it matches the 16:9 thing. Yeah, no, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it here. It's a placeholder at the end of the day. It's not the final result. So I just want to have something there so we can pre-render the animation and then see what's what. There, something like that. So I'm going to go join all these objects. Actually, perhaps I'm going to go and save this before I do anything. Urban 7, perhaps I'm going to make another folder called Blend Files. And oh, I need to turn them into geometry first, right? Or can I join all objects together? Will they stay a text object? No, they won't do that, will they? No, let's turn them into geometry first. Actually, they will also... I don't really need to remesh them either, do I, Christina? Because they're just going to be... They will turn into 3D objects when I export them, is that correct? Let's try that then. No, absolutely. All suggestions are all suggestions are absolutely welcome, and we're really not done with that logo yet. I think. Also, Steve, this may be a great occasion to perhaps update the logo into something completely different. Perhaps somebody with a bit of logo design ideas could do a complete revamp for you. That might be an idea. Good occasion. I'll put this into maybe the... Should I put it in the blend files? I'll maybe make another folder and call it geometry. And just do that. Scale, we're just going to leave... since this is DAS, perhaps I'll go and make it a bit smaller. Oh no, I have to increase it, make that bigger. That's how it worked, wasn't it? I think so. Let me try that. Let me see what works. See if it works. So, oops, that wasn't good, was it? Ah, nobody pressed any buttons. Yeah, perfect. Let's quickly go back to the perspective view before we screw anything up with the scene. That's not good. So let's import then that. And aha, ha ha ha, backdoor v1. That's exciting. Oh, I didn't set the origin properly, I guess. It's something. It's certainly something. So if I go and look at our last frame in the camera, this is how we shall approach this. No, this is not how we shall approach it. What's happened here then? What happened to that keyframe? That's not where that was. Good thing we've got another version of this thing. Totally not where that was. I bet I just screwed it up here. Maybe is it this keyframe? That's just in the way there? Yeah, I think it is. There we go. That's how we had it. That's how we had it. So we just framed this up on the placemat here. Once we have the final logo, we can work on that. Let me just slap an Iray material on this. Something like metal. Or maybe like a car paint. What do you think? Fantastic, Christina. I like it. Or maybe something nice and orange. I don't know. Red with small flakes, perhaps. That's cool. Let's do that. Well, let's quickly save version 3 of that. The version 4 even. And see what it looks like with both Iray as well as Octane lighting. Red. Copper color, also a nice idea. So many nice ideas. Rusty copper. I like the rust idea. We haven't worried about lighting here at all. It's just the regular sun and sky, and there's a default lighting that Stonemason has set up on the inside of the booth here. So that may be too dark overall. We may have to boost that a little bit, or put a few additional light sources in. We don't know yet. Because I guess the interior of the booth isn't really a point of focal action there. So I might just put a point light or something in there, or even something like an overhead faux light that comes down so that we have a bit more illumination there. Yeah, so if we look at the wide shot, then yeah, we do see a lot of funky lights on the inside here, but we're not, this is not anything that attracts that much attention. It's just a dark room. So I'll put a point light in there so that we have a bit more brightened bits there. Before I do that though, I just want to have a quick look at what this looks like in Octane, just for, you know, a laugh. Oh yes, this is, I've toned down the environment light now. We don't have any other light sources that make this scene so beautiful. So I believe I cranked that up to 10 earlier. And then we have, you know, it's flat, but it renders just so much faster. Raw salmon texture, I like it. Yeah, let me stick with Iray and try the point light approach. And maybe actually put that right into the location where back door is now, so I can then easily move it just slightly further and further down. See if I can do that. Point light, there we go. And apply, no, don't do that. But yeah, that's the one. Point light. Copy from item that's exactly right. Yes, and that is not what we want. Point light through here, and then we'll just go and put that, I don't know, somewhere here maybe. On one hand, I'd like to put it down here so that it illuminates this whole thing, but then we also need something above here. We can always have two. We can always have two. Actually, let's do that. So one that's at the floor, at the ground here, somewhere there. Let's see what that looks like when we put that into Iray. Under parameters, under light, Under luminous flux, maybe like 50,000 is good to begin with. We don't even see it. Point light, where are you? It's not even there. That's crazy. Oh, do you know why? It's because under render settings, I haven't switched it on. It is under environment, it's sun and sky only. So we really want to have the sun and sky and the lights. How do I do that again? It is. I think it's a setting. How did I do that again? I forgot how that works. Because sun and sky only really means that there's no scene lights if we do that. How did we do that again? That we have sun and sky and scene lights. Dome and scene, but then we have the, oops, then we have the, HDRI again. Then now we have my point light, but we also have that ugly HDRI again. I mean, we can't put that in. That's not really a problem, but I thought was there no way to mix those two together? That would be an idea, yeah, use a sky HDRI. Because then also that point light, that 5 million is, or 500,000 is maybe a little bit hot. See what the scene looks like with that HDRI. Yeah, I only put sun and sky earlier because I wanted to compare it to the results we get from Octane. I mean, it's not bad. It's better than nothing. Perhaps I'll just go and do the same what I did earlier. That just make the intensity a bit higher here. Better HDRI. Let's try a better HDRI. I mean, the good thing about this one is that it renders fairly fast. But I did like what the sun and sky did there, just as an effect. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Christina. Yeah, we also need to work on the lighting in the tunnel here. That needs to be a bit brightened up. I think we can just add a few more, because no HDRI is going to shine into here, I don't think. So we can put some more light sources in here. Just maybe something simple that just gives us more in the tunnel here. We can try a different HDRI. Or I can read up on how to mix sun and sky and scene lights. I'm sure I've written an article about it. I just can't remember how it works now. Well, tell you what, let's go and leave it here. We'll pick this up again tomorrow. I'll go and make sure I save over that scene. That's important, that's important. And I will have a look at that logo, Christina, and then we're going to totally put that in and finalize the scene, hopefully. A few light tweaks, and we'll see where we go. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. you know where to come tomorrow, and let's do this thing with the Google Calendar. I do like the idea of having something that we can coordinate our streaming efforts so that no one's encroaching onto anybody else's time. We can also do before and after. That's cool. I'm sure we're going to work something out. My friends, have a wonderful, wonderful night. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye-bye.